Hey everyone, welcome to the Withering Effect. This is episode 33. Today's date is February 24th, 2020, and I am Duds, or Duds Versus, known to the rest of the interwebs.
And I am Jimbo, also known as Jimbo Slice 23. What have you been up to this week, Duds?
So many things. I've been super excited to talk about this for like 2 weeks now, and I finally can without spoiling a ton of stuff. So I wrapped up season 2 of Ripple Effect. Really kind of sad because it's probably the most fun I've ever had on a season. So
A lot of work involved.
a lot of work.
Yeah.
It's also the longest I've played in a single season. So
Yeah.
that's real nice. I completed my base 100%. In doing so, I broke stuff because, that's the Duds way.
Of course.
The last day on the server, I did a live stream where I went through and I fixed and cleaned up some stuff. I basically fixed my iron farm. In doing so, I broke my iron farm. So I've got the Doc M77 iron farm where it's got 2 sets of villagers on either side of a platform.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the side of the villagers I fixed just so happens to butt up against my cactus farm. So when it started spawning golems, it spawned one in the cactus farm.
Ooh. So you got cactus and iron.
Nope.
No.
The iron golem won't die. So the iron farm thinks that there's still an iron golem alive, so it's not producing iron golems anymore.
Oh boy.
So the farm is essentially 100% broken instead of being only 50% broken.
Awesome.
I decided to wrap my season up there anyways. I was like, I'm not dealing with this. This is stupid. And just kind of moved on. That's Cornelius's problem. He can fix it now.
It still looks good, you know.
It looks good.
That's the main concern.
Yeah. But as I was working on that last episode, I was also working on a trailer for a single-player survival series I was doing. And I worked on that trailer with one Freddy Bushy Boy. I remembered Freddy's intros for all of his Hermitcraft and Ripple Effect series. And that ominous voice he does at the beginning, it just stuck in my head. And then, so I should also put out there, my Ripple Effect series was getting copyright claimed every time I put an episode out. It was for the intro music that used to be on the YouTube library free to use thing. And I guess somebody bought the rights to it.
Oh.
And now have taken that away. So I was getting copyright claimed. So when you're listening to my videos, if it no longer has music the first couple seconds, that's why. And it was also another reason that kind of pushed me into doing a new series.
Now, when they copyright this, after they buy it, is it they get copyrights at that point, or can they go back to your other videos and claim those also?
I don't know. They've claimed older videos too, and I just go through and I say mute audio.
Yeah, I don't agree with that, but I don't know the rules anymore, I guess.
I don't either. But yeah, I was like, I've got to come up with a new intro anyways. So like, if I'm going to do that, I'm going to do that for a new series because I've been wanting to do single player for a long time. I've been watching a lot of Decoy's single player series. Mm-hmm. And I realized I was in a lot of the same boats he was in, as in I've only played multiplayer. I've never played single player. The only time I'd ever have done like a single player type thing was creative mode, so I could learn how to build better.
Mm-hmm.
So like, yeah, you know what? I'm gonna do a single player. I've got my base is finished for the most part. I'm getting copyright claimed on every video I'm doing now. If I'm going to start over, let's just do something completely different. And it's a good point, too, because I was working my way to the 2.5 season of Ripple Effect. But even that seems to have kind of slowed down a little bit. So I was like, if I'm going to start over, let me start over with the single-player series. Because I'm obviously going to come back for Season 3. I'm not going to miss that. And I'm sorry if I sound weird. This time I remembered to put the cough drop in my mouth before we started recording.
Stops the cough.
Yes, but it's extremely large, and I have trouble talking because it keeps bouncing around in there. Anyways, I was going to say something, and then I realized I probably shouldn't say that on the internet.
I do that often.
Yeah. Where the heck was I? Oh, yeah, so starting this single-player series, I was like, what am I going to do that's going to be, I don't want to say different, I finally get to call my own shot, because even in Hermitcraft, while I kind of had the last say, everything was a democracy. And as long as most people agreed with it, I was like, okay, let's go with it. There were some things people were pushing for and that I just vetoed right away because I knew it was just not going to be fun and bad.
Mm-hmm.
But for the most part, it was a democracy, and we put some stuff in there I wasn't so sure about. But this time, it's a single-player world. I can put whatever the heck I want into this world.
You're the king of the castle.
Exactly. Too bad I'm not building a castle this year.
Yeah.
I'm done with castles and keeps and stuff like that. Stared at one for 2 years now. But yeah, so I want to play with data packs. I want to play with data packs a lot. As of right now, I've kind of got the generic vanilla data packs everyone's got. Like, no Enderman griefing, Dragon drops Elytra, multiple Shulker Shell drops, stuff like that. So if anyone has some data packs you want to be like, hey, you should try this one, I'm looking for a vanilla plus type data pack. I don't want to go modded, but something that feels vanilla, like this should be in a vanilla game.
Yeah, I'd suggest a one-person sleep, but you're that one person.
Yeah, I'm already that one person.
That's always a good one to have on a multiplayer, but
yeah,
no point on a single.
I'm trying to think what else was going on. Oh, talking about the trailer, working with Freddy, the reason I wanted Freddy was because I was digging through Decoy's library. As Decoy, I was like, hey, can I just dig through your library, pick a song out for my new intro, because I know Decoy's not going to copyright claim me. And he was like, yeah, sure, go ahead, because it's Decoy, and he's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm digging through songs, and he gave me like 2 songs that I had mentioned that I was like, hey, I'm kind of looking for this theme, and he gave me 2 songs that were that he thought fit the theme, and I was just like, no, I'm gonna keep digging. And sure enough, it turned out Decoy was right. And one of those songs, I was like, oh, this song sounds really weird and cool, and I immediately thought of a spooky kind of trailer, and then I remembered Freddy's ominous voice, and I went, oh, I can now make this single player series have a little bit of a mystery to it, which I'm not going to go in too much detail with because that's going to be kind of spoiling the series. It's like, it's not going to be anything big. It's going to be like when you're watching, I don't know, a season of some cop drama, and they have that backstory that kind of intertwines all the episodes, but it's never in the forefront.
Yeah.
That's probably what this is going to be. Nothing big, but there's 30 seconds of that backstory that if you don't pay attention to, you'll know nothing about, but it doesn't matter anyways.
That does sound interesting. Mm-hmm. I do like the trailer. I got to see it on your YouTube channel. If you guys haven't seen that, you got to check it out. It's pretty good.
Yeah, I was pretty happy with it.
Yeah, I'm glad Freddie was able to help you out with it.
Freddie basically directed the trailer.
Did he?
So
that's awesome.
I said, hey, can you do this short reading with me? And I sent him a script, and it's like 5 lines. And he's like...
And he ripped it up.
He looked at it and went, yeah, okay, but... Because, it's Freddy. And he started making notes and comments. And sure enough, one of the comments, I was like, you know what? That comment works. Switch that line to the way you want to read it, and we'll go from there. So he reads his parts and records it. I get it. And then I'm playing his in Audacity, and I'm hitting the record button, trying to answer and talk back to him. And I'm finding that the stuff I wrote down for me to say doesn't necessarily fit with his new stuff, so I change it just a little bit, and then I send it back to Freddie, and then Freddie's just like, you know what? You said this, so now I want to say this. So he did that, sent it back to me, and I'm like, well, now you said this, I kind of want to say it this way. And I sent it back to him. He's like, well, you changed it again, so I'm going to change it again. And he sent it back to me. And then I did like the first cut of the trailer, which is what you, Decoy, and Carl saw in our Withering Effect chat. sent it back to Freddie, and he was like, yeah, it's good, but he just kind of kept giving me details, and it was all good stuff. So I was like, dang it, Freddie, you're always right. So I'm constantly changing it. And yeah, so I really should have put trailer directed by Freddie Bushboy on there.
Yeah, well, it turned out great. I'm surprised how many revisions it went through.
It took about 7 or 8 renderings before that final one.
As long as you're happy, I mean, it did end up really good.
Yeah, I think it turned out really well. But yeah, I started playing on the new world already. Forgot how much bows hurt when you don't have armor on. Mm-hmm. Almost died the second day.
Oh, man.
I found a village. So the first thing I did was immediately, the second all the villagers ran into their little huts, blocked them in.
Yep.
I was like, nope, you guys aren't getting out. You're not dying because I'm going to need you later. So blocked all the villagers in their huts, stole a hut for myself, immediately went down to Y level 11. And here's something, if you've been following me at all my YouTube stuff, whenever I start mining in a new server, I never hit diamonds the first day. Like, it takes me forever to get diamonds. Sure enough, I didn't even hit Y11 before I found diamonds on this map.
Yeah, it's pretty rare.
I went, heck yeah. And I kept digging and digging. I've ended up with 15 diamonds and only 13 iron. I have more diamonds than I have iron.
Yeah, that's interesting.
It's like, no, I need iron at this point. It's to the point where I'm thinking about bringing some of those villagers out and building an iron farm with them. Because I'm struggling with iron so badly.
Yeah.
But then, of course, I remembered this morning AFK fish farms. I was like, I sat there all day yesterday and didn't build an AFK fish farm. What was I thinking?
Yeah, that's something you have to decide on also when you're starting a new world. Are you going to use those or not?
Yeah.
Because they can be OP. Some people feel like they're OP. Mm-hmm. But I don't mind them.
It depends on how you use them. If you're sitting there for 24 hours straight using it, yeah, it's OP. Mm-hmm. But I do AFK fishing on like spurts of an hour, maybe 2 hours at most, and that's it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and once you establish yourself, it kind of goes away. Never fish again, really.
I think I stopped AFK fishing in the ripple effect by like the second I moved out of my spawn house. I stopped because I had no reason to go back to spawn.
I think that's when I stopped using it. I think I had to go back because I died just so many times. Mm-hmm. I just kept losing everything.
Yeah. But yeah, that's kind of it for my week. Like I said, I had a lot of stuff happen. Yeah. But I'm super excited about. Let's get on to you. What have you been doing this week?
Well, I did get on the Ripple Effect server. Mm-hmm. I think it was yesterday and today. Just trying to finish up some stuff on the tower that I'm building in season 2.5. I did move over there. I want to get that finished up because I want to make a finale. I do want to put out another episode of Ripple Effect before the season ends. We know there's seasons ending everywhere, so I like to join the club.
Yeah, we're not necessarily saying Ripple Effect is ending because there's still players playing on the server. It's just that I decided my season was done, and obviously Jimbo's now deciding his season is going to be done soon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I like to get that done because there's a lot of unfinished business on my mountain. Mm-hmm. So you probably won't see this video for a couple weeks because I am after this tower, which I only have the top part to do. Mm-hmm. Once I finish that top part and then close it in, because Winter put, I think, 8 or 9 iron farms in this tower.
Holy cow.
I don't know how he did it or why he would put so many in there. But I had a certain shape for the cap of this thing, but now I got to make it a little bit different just because of the height of this, the iron farm inside of it. But it's manageable. Yeah, it's the bad thing is not many people are on the server now to even use this iron. I looked and there's like a double chest of iron blocks. I got on there and I was just doing the ceiling, and it didn't take long. It probably took me an hour. And the chest is full, and it was empty when I jumped on. I think Winter cleared it. But
Wow.
yeah, it's over the top iron farm, but I think that's what he was going for. But yeah, once I finish that, I want to go back to my mountain. I got a lot of stuff to do there. I don't want it to go unfinished.
Yeah, I want to see that mountain done.
Yeah, I'd like to. I don't have a before and after picture. I might.
I didn't have a before and after either. What I did is I found the seed in our original season notes and started a new single-player world in Java 1.13. And then I teleported to where my base was. It took screenshots of the land not touched. And then jumped back on the ripple effect. Went to the same exact spot I took those screenshots.
Yeah, I like that before and after.
Yeah, I thought it turned out really cool because you really don't see the massive amount of work I did to that area until you see, well, holy cow, that entire area was gray before I started, and now it's green.
The thing is, like, you showed a picture of, the mountain and stuff. I was like, oh, that's probably the outside. And, it switched and you got to see what it became. I was like, I was right. And then the next one was, like, inside the mountain, like, cove. The holler of the mountain. I was like, that's got to be the back of it. And it was the inside of your castle keep. I was like, holy crap, I'd have never thought that was there. It's pretty cool to see the before and after because of that. I think that's something I'd like to do.
I think one thing that I thought was cool is somebody noticed that in the before shot, there's an oak tree in the middle of the hollow. And then when you look at the after shot, there's an oak tree in the same spot, but it's a custom tree. And it's like, yes, that was the whole purpose of that stupid custom tree, was to remember that there was an original tree there, and I just redid it to fit the area.
Yeah, I'll have to go back and look at that. I'd never noticed. I was just trying to guess what you built there.
Yeah. The backside of that base looks horrible. I got so sick and tired of being back there that I just didn't do any work back there.
Yeah. Well, you did so much to the front, and looks good. Still looks good. But yeah, I'm gonna have to do that. Get a before and after, look at it. I did a lot to the outside. I don't think I'm gonna finish the inside too much. The bottom's pretty much done with all my redstone and stuff. But above that, I had like a village, and that's inside the mountain. And to fill that up would just probably take way too long. I might put a couple things in there to make it look more alive. That was the plan. But I really want to get the outside done. That's my main focus.
Yeah. Well, you have those custom trees that take a while to build, but they look so good.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what's probably going to take up most of my time. It's not hard to throw some podzol down and, to incorporate it with the prismarine. Almost forgot what my mountain was made of there for a second.
That's one thing I'm kind of like, yay, I'm starting a new series, and then, wait, now I have to build the Guardian farm. Crap.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
can't wait to see that.
My roommate Swabby made mention that it's like, the one thing you don't realize is what happens when you need a sticky piston. You need redstone, iron, and slime. So that means I got to build a slime farm. And it's like, I'm building all these farms myself now, which is kind of cool because I've never built a slime farm. I've helped build slime farms, but I've never built one myself. I've built a Guardian farm, but that was a while ago, and that kills me.
Yeah.
I've done a witch farm, I think.
Never done one of those. I've done a slime and a Guardian, but not a witch farm. That's something I'd like to do maybe next season. Not too sure. But, besides that, getting everything ready to wrap things up on that, I do want to start a 7 Days to Die series. I started recording a little bit, edited a little bit. I'm just going to go until I die. So you might get 1 or 2 episodes out of it. I don't know how long.
That's kind of a cool way to do it, though.
Yeah. Just so I don't know, I'm more careful, but I do want to put myself in danger. I don't know. I got a certain way I want to do it. I want to give myself rules,
Basically, you're gonna live till Ripple season 3 starts, and then you're just gonna Leroy Jenkins yourself into a bunch of zombies.
That'd be the way to do it. I hope I live that long. I don't see that happening, but I don't know. I've been playing a little bit. I've gotten used to playing it. So after going back to Minecraft in 7 days, though, I get my buttons mixed up. So
yeah, what's the biggest difference between Minecraft and 7 days? Because they're kind of a lot like the same way as in their survival game with crafting and base building,
mining also.
Yeah, mining.
There's a lot of similarities in that way. The blocks are different. You don't get a wide variety of blocks by any means, or paint and colors and stuff.
Yeah.
But the main focus is surviving the zombies. Mm-hmm. So you wanna fortify yourself and get yourself fortified very well, because every 7 days this horde of zombies is coming after you, and you got to go through. You got to loot just like in Minecraft to get gear. I can't get diamonds underground and make my own gear that way. I have to, find these things or find parts throughout a city or a town to gear up or trade for them, which is also Minecraft. But there's a lot of similarities. You can dig underground. I can dig down into bedrock. There's bedrock. And you get your iron resources, your coal resources. Same thing as Minecraft. And this is for you to able to make gunpowder and just the essentials that you need to survive. So there's a lot of similarities, which is why I think I just enjoyed it so much.
Yeah.
At the beginning. But besides that, that's about it. Yeah.
Well, let's go ahead and move on to the news. There's not a lot of it. Wink, wink.
Nope.
We do get a new snapshot, probably the smallest snapshot ever made. Snapshot 20W08A, and it's a bug fix with villagers' saved memory disappear when upgrading to 20W07A. So, glad they rushed that fix out. That's big for people who like playing on the snapshots. I also want to put out there, playing on the snapshots is dangerous. You could lose your world. Think about that. Also, back it up a lot.
We've had that issue before.
Yeah. What about you?
In other news,
what about
we have the Minecraft dungeons have been added to the Java startup menu. Mm-hmm. So as soon as you bring up Minecraft in Java, not sure about the Bedrock edition, but you can see on the left hand that Minecraft Dungeons is there. It's not you're not eligible to play it, but it is coming soon. So
yeah, I think they've got a spot where you can sign up for updates and learn about the game and stuff like that.
Yeah,
which is, if you go to Minecraft.net, which is something I do every week to get news and stuff for the podcast, those updates are on that website too. Mm-hmm. So that's another place you can look at. But speaking of other Minecraft games, this is something I've been wanting to bring up for the last couple of weeks, but I keep forgetting. Is anyone still playing Minecraft Earth?
Not me.
I was gonna say, I'll take that silence as an answer. I never played it because I didn't really see the appeal. I don't like playing games on my phone. I especially don't like trying to do VR stuff on my phone. One, I have a 4-year-old phone, so the battery dies like instantly. But also, I get motion sick really easily. So
yeah, there's a couple games I play on my phone. Not many. Minecraft isn't one of them. Even the original Minecraft. I love the game, and sometimes before I was playing it on my phone, but once you play it on the computer, what's the point?
Yeah.
Minecraft Earth is even smaller. You get one section to build on, and that's, I don't know, it's not for me either. I couldn't sit there in one's place and try to build something. It's a cool idea, but it's not for me.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I thought it was a cool idea, and the way a lot of the younger people are nowadays, like there's a lot of people playing Minecraft, Bedrock, or whatever on their phones. So I could see the appeal of trying to do something like that with VR. But I've been one of those people from the get-go. I think VR technology is just a fad and will quickly, or I should say quickly, but quietly go away, kind of like 3D movies have. I don't know if you've been to the movie theaters lately. 3D movies used to be all the rage. Now you kind of have one movie that's going to be in 3D at a time.
Mm-hmm. And it's not a big seller either.
No. I mean, there still are blockbuster movies, but it just kind of like, to me, I can never justify paying the extra $5 for the 3D experience, especially when I get motion sick sometimes. So it's like, no. But I don't know, maybe I'm an outcast in that, and people love Minecraft Earth, and they love 3D movies.
Yeah, I think it was more of the hype.
Yeah.
Of Minecraft Earth that got people excited about it. You know, I feel the same way. It kind of faded off.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong, I'm hyped about Dungeons. I think that's a game I'm going to play. I won't say like regularly, but it'll be like, hey, I want something to do. I'm going to bust out Dungeons, especially if they put it on the Nintendo Switch, because I don't really play my Switch in handheld mode, but if Minecraft Dungeons is on Switch, I might play that handheld.
Yeah.
Should we go ahead and move into listener comments?
Sure.
We got a couple today. This one's from SB737's best friend. You hear that, SB737? You've got a best friend, and he wrote our show.
Congratulations.
Yeah. They say, how about netherwort blocks into netherwort, then you do the same for blue and get potions of luck. I'm assuming he's talking about the episode where we were talking about how there's blue netherwort block, but there's not blue netherwort. So I'm assuming instead of farming the netherwort, he's saying you can just farm the netherwort block and decraft it into blue netherwort, and then use that to create potions of luck. Potions of luck, I didn't realize were a thing until I read this comment. Turns out they are in Minecraft. They were going to be in 1.14 as an arrow version that the Fletcher would drop whenever you got the Hero of the Village accolade. So this Fletcher would throw that arrow at you, and you could use it to up your loot tables to get better things. Kind of like how Luck of the Sea works for fishing rods. Kind of cool. I could see it being work. I think the problem is they took all this out because I think Potion of Luck's just OP for survival.
Yeah.
So I don't see it really getting added in there. But I kind of like
it doesn't. It doesn't really complement the nether wart, because as a potion, it just gives you the awkward potion. Doesn't really do much.
That's true.
So it doesn't really complement it as much. Mm-hmm. It's kind of a whole different category.
Sorry, I just realized I didn't touch my mouse in a while, so both my computer monitors went black.
That happened to me like 5 seconds ago.
Okay, and then they also say Mojang could also use netherwort golems, which piglins would summon in when they feel outnumbered, and the golems could drop nether quartz when they die. I don't see this happening just because of the fact piglins will trade nether quartz now anyways. Yeah, so farming golems I don't think will be a big thing. Plus, I got the feeling the piglins are going to be kind of deadly, so I'm not too worried about them protecting themselves. And then the final part, they also say, I also cobblestone in the nether. I too cobblestone in the nether. Not sure.
Yeah, I wonder if they meant inside the terrain, or not too sure. Yeah,
maybe have cobblestone spawn in the nether.
Yeah, maybe it put it a part of their housings, if they do have housings like huts.
Maybe. I got the feeling that's going to be done with all the new nether blocks, though.
Yeah.
But how about you? What was your listener comment?
I got a comment from Avalar, and he was wondering, how do we think the gold farms will be affected with this new update?
Okay, you go first.
I figured it would be the same, as long as you would keep this farm, because everything is vertical. Not everything, but these biomes are vertical now, you can find a wasteland biome above the nether and build your farm there. Now, there could be different spawn rates, so it might not work as effective, but that's how I would go about it.
Yeah. And I'm going to say the exact same, except go the opposite way and saying gold farms will be broken because biomes will be vertical now, and just going above the nether won't work. You have to find a nether waste area, and it has to be large enough to fit the nether or the gold farm in it. So,
yeah, you do have to find like the perfect area, which isn't very fun.
For some reason, my roommate thinks now is a good time to break down boxes. Yeah, so gold farms, I think they're going to get changed up a little bit. I don't know for good or bad. I know on the single player world, I've decided that I'm not going to use the nether that much, but I will be using the nether to find a blaze spawner so I can do a blaze rod farm. And wherever that blaze rod farm is, will be where my gold farm is. So at least when I update to 1.16, that whole area will stay nether waste and I won't have to worry about it.
There you go.
Thinking ahead.
Yeah, it's using your head right there.
Mm-hmm. So usually at this point in the show, we play a Discord ad. But this week, after reaching half a second episodes, we're going to run a survey over the next few weeks to find out what you guys think of the show.
Survey is going to help us keep the show fresh, and we will take all your feedback on board and use it to improve the show going forward. Here's Carl with more information about how to get involved.
Hi everyone. With a half stack of episodes under our belt, it's time to find out what you like and don't like about the show, so we can make the next half stack and more even better. To do this, we have put together our 2020 survey that will run from now until the 15th of March at 10 PM GMT. Join me on episode 36 with Duds and Jimbo for the results. A link to the survey is in the show notes and is also linked in our Discord server. Please get involved and let's take the Withering effect to the next level.
Alright, Carl, thanks for that. It is now time for Block of the Week. This week we asked you to vote in our Discord on which of the following blocks to discuss. This week was the Anvil, Observer, and the Cauldron.
And the winner is... Cauldron. Congratulations.
Yeah, everyone overwhelmingly vote for the Cauldron. I was kind of pulling for the Observer just so I can say I think the Observer's texture sucks. If anyone watches my videos, I still use that original Java Observer texture where it's the red square. I hate the faces.
Yeah, it is a little weird.
I'm getting like a lot of Discord notifications in the middle of recording. Sorry, I don't think anyone's going to hear them, but it's just like, wait, what? Why am I getting bleeps? Yeah, so a cauldron can be used to hold different levels of water. Jimbo made mention that it does other things in Bedrock. We'll talk about that in a second.
Mm-hmm.
For me, my favorite way I've seen somebody use a cauldron is, I think it was Impulse SV, but he put cauldrons in a ceiling and used that bottom texture. I thought that looked amazing. And the fact that light comes through a cauldron, even better.
Yes.
Jimbo's upset because that's exactly what he was going to say. And I stole his idea.
You beat me to it again. Yeah. The ceiling texture of the bottom texture of the cauldron on the ceiling, it looks amazing for some reason. I think there's just a little bit of light that comes through too, because it is technically transparent.
Yeah.
It does look cool. I really do like it.
Mm-hmm. And one way I thought I would improve the cauldron would be to allow you to fill a cauldron with lava, and if you have fire tick on, it would halt the lava from causing fire spread. But Jimbo made mention that that's already in the game, but in Bedrock.
Yes. Also, you could put potions in a cauldron in Bedrock.
Nice.
Didn't know that.
Yeah, I know you can use them to like clean banners, but that's kind of it. I don't think there's a lot of good uses for cauldrons. I'd like to see them change that. I think cauldrons are a really cool looking block, and I'd love to see them have new things.
Like, yeah, a lot of times I use them as for aesthetic reasons. Like I think maybe a plant.
Yeah, I think it would be cool to be able to use a cauldron like a what is it called? Holy cow! Why can't I think of the potion brewing thingamajigger?
Brewing stand?
Yeah, brewing stand. Why couldn't I think of that word? So
because we're recording.
That's exactly it. So you have a campfire that technically can cook food like a furnace and a smoker, right? It just does it slower.
Yeah.
What if a cauldron could make potions, but just did it slower? So instead of using the brewing stand, you could fill a cauldron with water, you throw the nether wart in there, you see it bubble, and then you throw your next item in there, and then it bubbles, and it just takes like twice as long, but it gives these really cool effects. And maybe if like you throw a nether wart in there, and it turns the water from blue to purple, and it starts bubbling. Maybe if you don't throw anything else in there, it just stays that state, so it's constantly purple and bubbling, and then you could have this cool purple bubbling water to use as kind of decoration and stuff.
I like that.
Bam! Now, just thought of that off the top of my head.
That's pretty good. Now, in Bedrock, you can put potions in there. You can't make them.
Yeah.
So that is a difference. You can mix dyes inside a cauldron in Bedrock. I just had to look this up a little bit ago because I didn't know how big of a difference the Bedrock cauldron is from the Java. But you can mix colors. Ooh. Like if you put blue in there, you could put orange and mix those colors together and get a different color. Dip your armor in there and get that color. I thought that was really cool. Why don't Java have that?
Yeah.
You know?
Mojang, please. What's going on?
Yeah, we got room for this.
Yeah, where's my red dragon? Why can't I dye armor in cauldrons?
Yeah. Yeah, but I thought that was pretty cool. I never knew that.
That is
and again,
cool.
Like you said, yeah, the lava can go in there also.
Mm-hmm. So, time to move on to our main topic of discussion?
Sure.
All right, this week, our main topic of discussion is starting over. Mainly because it seems like everyone is starting over this week.
Yep, keeping up with the trends.
Definitely not planned. By the way, I had my single-player world planned out for a couple weeks now that I was going to start over this past weekend. So, I didn't know about Hermitcraft starting over at the exact same time, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
But with everyone starting over, we thought it would be a good idea to talk about the process of starting over. And we came up with, 8 or 9 different questions of things you should really think about whenever you're starting over. Like, my first question was, how do you decide it's time to move on from a world? So what do you think, Jimbo? How do you know it's time to move on?
Well, my main thing is the new updates, really. When things are added and you can't use them in the world that you're currently on.
Mm-hmm.
And but then again, you want to make sure you have everything completed that you have completed or that you've started. Unless, that doesn't bother you. A lot of people, like myself, that would bother me if I've been working on something for a year and a half, which I have, almost 2 years.
Yeah.
And I haven't finished it. So that's one thing that will help me decide when it's time to move on. I'm not moving on until it's done, believe me.
Right. I kind of feel the same way. That's the way I felt with this base for a long time. I felt I was so close. I think people could kind of catch on when every time I would live stream, it was me working in that front terrain area, just planting flowers and trees the entire stream. It's like, yeah, I know it's boring, but I've got to get this area done because I was so close. And to me, the best part about the last 2 bases I've built, I've had this image in my head. And it's like, all I've seen is the terrain. and then I get this picture in my head of what that area could be. So my circle base in Hermitcraft and this keep base on Ripple Effect, I had the image in my head. The big thing for me was the banners, the yellow and purple and blue and red. I don't know what you want to call them. I call them banners, but they're like...
I can't think of the word either. I know you're talking about.
Or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, streamers might be right.
I always had those in my head at some point, and the second I put those in, I went, holy crap, this base is almost done. Like, it just hit me.
Nice.
Like, this is the picture I saw in my head, so it's like, I need to get everything done. I'm going to try to finish this as soon as I can, because I couldn't wait to see it, and sure enough, that's where I was. It's like, I put in the carrot potato farm, because I was really waiting to redo those farms till we got bees on the server.
Yeah.
So we got bees. I could play with some bees a little bit. I found out doing the tree flower trick to get a beehive is either really a pain in the butt, because it took me an hour to get the first beehive.
Oh, wow.
But then the second beehive was the very next tree.
Ooh.
So it's like, yeah, it's a pain in the butt, or it's super easy. It's one of the other.
So random.
Yeah, but that's where I was at. The second my base looks like the image I had originally thought of, that's where I kind of like, okay, it's either time to move on to a new area, or it's time to move on from this world and start over. I don't like starting over. That's my least favorite thing to do in Minecraft, is to start over. So when I decided to start over from Ripple Effect, it was mainly because the thrill of being able to call my own shots again. So
Yeah, okay.
yeah.
Next question I have is, how do you include new members into the new season?
What do you mean? Like, how do you decide who to invite? Or how, like, hey, we have new members, how do we make them feel like they're part of the community?
That could be a two-part question. It was more, how do you decide? So we'll go with that.
Okay. For me, it's like-minded in pursuits of things. Like me and you, I knew we would work well together because of what you said earlier when you're like, hey, I started this mountain project, I want to finish this mountain project.
Yeah.
Play with so many players who just don't care to finish what they start, and I get getting burned out. That's something totally different. If you get burned out working on a project and you just can't do it anymore, completely understand, totally fine. But when you go to build a house in a community area and you build 3 walls and then you're done.
Yeah.
Or my least favorite thing is when someone starts digging a giant hole to turn it into a base, but they leave and it's just a giant hole again.
Yeah, you definitely got to think about that before you dig the hole, what you're getting into.
Yeah.
Before you do that, because that'll burn you out pretty quick.
Yeah, so I like players who I can kind of tell it's like they're in it. They understand that, hey, I got to pace myself so I don't burn out easily. If I'm going to be community orientated, I have to live up to community standards, which a lot of players understand relatively easy. That was one of my big things. It's like you see players building around you, you're like, man, these guys are good builders. I have to up my game if I'm going to build right next to them. And I think that's the best part about playing on a server, because everyone's like, man, look at that. That's an awesome build. I need to build just as awesome.
Mm-hmm. Which could affect them negatively too. They're like, oh, okay, I'm out of here. I just saw Duds' castle.
True too. But that's when like you as a player need to kind of talk to the new guys. It's like, hey, yeah, you may not think you're this good, but build your own style, and trust me, it'll be just as fine.
Mm-hmm. And it's not just about building. You know, you can entertain your audience in other ways. Like, for instance, we were talking earlier about Grian. You don't see him build much. No, but man, he is entertaining in his videos and just the different activities he gets himself into. So, it's not just, you don't have to be the best builder, because there is no one best builder. So when I pick a member, it's more community oriented. You know, the people that been around for a while, people that you know, not necessarily that you've known forever. You know,
no, but it's kind of like, am I going to get along with this person, or are we going to have fights over whose diamond block that is?
Yeah.
By the way, it's my diamond block.
You either want to get to know them right away, or you know them for a while.
Yeah.
Just to be comfortable, because you might have that opportunity to do a collab with them.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one thing I look for is just familiarity.
There you go, big word.
I think I blew it, but thank you for the confidence.
I agree. You got to gel with people, and if you don't gel, the server's not going to work very well. I've seen a lot of servers fall apart because no one really gels, and they just go off, do their own thing, and it's basically a single-player world with 5 other people.
Yep.
So my next question is, how do you change up the new world from your last world? You don't want to keep building the same things over and over again, right?
No. Well, I mean, there's things that are like essential, like your iron farms or your farming areas. But like for instance, I built a mountain. There's no way on this earth I'm going to build another mountain. Okay. There's no way I'm going to do that again. But I because I built the mountain, I've worked with a lot of landscaping, terraforming. I want to move on to something different, maybe redstone, because I'm not as familiar with it. I wasn't as familiar with terraforming and landscaping this season until I tried it. So that's what I might do, just to switch things up completely. That's pretty much the change I'm going to go for.
Yeah.
Also, a little spoiler alert.
Yeah, I agree with you. I said earlier that I am not going to build another keep or a castle in my single-player world. That being said, the stuff I used in Ripple Effect, I'm bringing with me. The massive terraforming, the planning out a village. I think if I were to plan out the village again, I could do it a lot better. I felt my houses were a little bit too far spread out, because I really wanted it to be foresty and flowery and look really good. But I think that kind of hurt at the same time, because there was really only like 3 or 4 houses. So it's kind of like, if I would have started smashing houses together, it may have looked a little bit better.
Yeah.
So, for me to change it up, I'm changing it up in a big way. I'm going to single player, which is a way I've never done before. I'm using command blocks, actually, a decent amount. So, I guess this could fall into my next question. So I'm just going to combine the questions, because I say, are you planning on taking advantage of the next update? And I am, but I'm not. So 1.16 is another update. I plan on using the nether a little bit for blaze rods and a gold farm. But that leaves, how do I quick travel to these far off distances? I have no clue where a taiga biome is. I have no clue where the Badlands are, so I can get terracotta. I do have a desert right next to me, so that's awesome. Same with the Guardian farm, or a Guardian temple, so I don't have to travel very far there. But for everything else, I've kind of set out this rule. So if I want to quick travel somewhere, I have to make the journey in the overworld.
Ooh.
Get to that area. So I say I'm looking for a jungle biome. I have to travel in the overworld to the jungle biome. Once I am there, I have to make the journey back, and then when I get back, I'm allowed to go to I'm going to build kind of like this temple on the very first island I spawned on, and inside this temple I'm going to put command blocks with buttons on them, and I'll be able to teleport myself back to that biome, whatever.
Okay.
But in order to kind of feel okay about using that teleporting function, I've got to make the journey in the overworld, no matter how far away. If I've got to make 25,000 block journey, I gotta make 25,000 block journey. I mean, granted, it'll be a lot easier when I get an elytra, but...
Yeah. But this also helps with the lore, the travel and stuff. I also wanted to ask about your... if you go to the end, are you just going to have a portal for that? Or are you going to command block it?
So that'll probably be another command block.
Okay, but you still got to find it on foot and everything, right?
Yeah, I'll make it put me in the stronghold, right at the portal or whatever. I'll do probably an in-portal room, like everyone does.
That's always fun.
Yeah.
Sign your own room.
Yeah, so I kind of did a 2-for-1 there. You also talked about how you move on to a new world using an update. So there goes my number 3 question. We don't have to answer that now.
Yeah.
What about you? What's your number 2 question?
Do you change anything from last season? Like your music intro, your skin? Is there anything, maybe a new logo, just to fit with what you're doing? And me personally, I have a song that I really like that goes with the Minecraft theme and what I do. So I change it up a little bit. And the skin, I think, is going to stay the same. I'm not sure. I might have to think about that a little bit. But I did change up my skin for this season. I think it's, just if I'm going to be doing something different, I might change things up to fit what I'm going to do. Like if I'm going to do redstone, maybe I have more of a science look to me, or maybe if I'm doing more terraforming, I got more of like a builder look to me of my character. That could always go with your new look.
After the show, give me 20 minutes. I have an idea for your skin.
Okay.
You don't have to stay around for it. You can go and just look at it in the morning. But I think I've got a cool idea that could work without changing your skin dramatically, but showing a definitely good change.
Is there a mohawk?
There's still a mohawk.
Okay. Okay. I'm in.
For me, that was the snooze monster, Susie. But for me,
changing her skin?
Yeah. I change my skin every season. And for me, going between Ripple to this new single player world, I kind of want to do a more of a dramatic change. I say this, but my face never changes or my head never changes. And I didn't bother changing my pants this season because I really liked the pants I had last season. But I really changed the top. It's designed after, if you look at Breath of the Wild, there's the Hylian armor. I really liked how that looked, so I kind of modeled my skin after that. And then we've already talked about my intro music got copyright claimed, so I have to change it.
Yeah, that's got to be changed.
It needed to be changed anyways. I was still using my old red and silver Duds logo, and now I'm blue and green. So it's kind of like, it needed to be changed. So plus Decoy is hooking me up with some intro music. I've also decided the songs, if you listen to my videos, I play music throughout the episode. It's just really quiet, so it's not intrusive. I'm going to get rid of all my old songs. And I'm just going to use like the actual Minecraft music, not in-game music. I'm going to download the MP3s of the actual in-game music so I can adjust the volume better.
Yeah, and they come in and out sometimes.
Yeah, and I'm just going to use that music because it's obviously copyright free.
Yeah.
And it'll fit the tone of the episodes a lot better.
That's a good idea. The Minecraft music, just use it as your background, but not like as in-game background.
Right.
I like that.
I'm trying to think. Somebody did this, and I can't think who did.
Well, I know.
Got it from someone. I think Exumavoid does it for all of his live streams.
I know Marlo's been using the background music in his Techtopia world.
Oh, maybe that's where
his
I got
videos. And I was like, before, when I listened to the Minecraft music, it kind of took me back to where the days where I didn't know anything.
Yeah.
And it kind of took me there, and I didn't want to go back there. I wanted like the new, the new me, the new Jimbo. So I took that music away. I didn't really want to listen to it, but lately I've turned it back on, and I've been playing with the background music, and it's very therapeutic. Something about it is very therapeutic. So I'm starting to enjoy it. I don't know if I'm going to have music in the background. I usually don't unless there's like a action scene or something. I'll throw something in there just to fit whatever. But yeah, I'm not too sure if I'm going to have any background music.
Gotcha. Let's go with my question number 4. Do you know what you're looking for in a new world? Like for me, I was like, I want to build on an island. I was like, do I want to do a mushroom island? Because then I don't have to worry about spawns or anything like that. But I found a really cool looking island on Reddit. It was just I just typed island villager seed. And sure enough, they're like, hey, this island is near spawned. There's a village nearby. And also it has a guardian temple a couple 100 blocks away from it. And I went, perfect.
Nice. Watch the end be like 10,000
Oh
blocks
god,
away.
I know, because I didn't check anything else when I
Yeah.
signed up for it. I'm just waiting. It's like, oh, I need some hardened clay or terracotta. Crap, I have to travel 20,000 blocks away, or a witch spawn hut is going to be a million blocks away, and I'm going to cry.
Yeah.
But what about you? What do you look for in a new world?
Well, like I explained on another episode, I usually build on an island just to kind of confine myself.
Mhm.
You know, I know this is my building area just because I have the island, but I want to switch things up for next season, and I'm thinking about building in the air, building in the sky. So there's no biome that I'm thinking of in particular. But I do want something below me that I can farm, like maybe a witch hut, for instance. So I might be in a swamp.
Yeah.
That's something I'm looking for. I'm just not too sure of the biome yet.
Yeah.
That's another spoiler for you guys.
I've got a spoiler. The witch farm design I want to use. I saw this guy build a witch farm on Tango Tech's Patreon server a long time ago. I want to say it's like 3 to 4 years ago. But it's this like giant pyramid dug out below it. So it's a giant pyramidal shaped hole with water flowing down. Looked gorgeous. I'm totally doing that. And I've got to find that guy's YouTube episode so I can give him credit. Because
Yeah, I haven't seen that.
oh, it's beautiful. And I'm like, dude, that's such a great design. And I've never been able to get it out of my head. So I'm totally building my witch farm like that too.
Yeah. Yeah, I have to look at that. I haven't seen it.
Yeah. What about you? What's your next question?
Trying new things.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've explained earlier, I did a lot of terraforming this season, and I want to do different stuff.
Yeah.
Things I haven't done before. This helps for content, of course. You know, you don't want to do the same thing every season. So I want to switch up my building style. I want to change everything. I want to try new things just to become more familiar with everything. Redstone isn't my best category, but it's something I plan on working on. So that's something I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, I'm definitely that way every season. If you go back to Hermitcraft season 3, or unofficially season 2, because season 2 doesn't really exist. That world got yeeted that thing into the ocean. But Hermitcraft season 3 is where I really wanted to be redstone oriented. And I said, you know what? I'm going to build a base that's super compact, and I have redstone weaving in and out of each other, just like pipelines in a basement of a high-rise building or something. And I got very good at it. I could weave redstone in some of the weirdest places, and every season from then on, you'll see me put redstone like right on top of each other, and you're like, how the heck does that fit there? And I'm just like, it does, don't question it. And then the last season of Hermitcraft, I said, I really want to understand terraforming, building custom trees, doing that stuff. So I built that circular base with the cliff overhang, and I felt like I was really starting to nail terraforming. So when it came to ripple effect, I said, you know what, I'm really good at terraforming, but I'm not really good at freestanding builds. So what I did was I built the keep, and for the most part, the keep inner hallways are still in the ground, but it has that big exterior hollow that I really liked. But then all the village is freestanding buildings. And looking back at the season, it's like, okay, I understood freestanding buildings, and I know how I could have done this past season better. My buildings were too spread out. I should have built them more on top of each other. I probably should have chose a smaller sized road than I chose for that front entrance. But yeah, I think I've gotten progressively better at trying new things each season. I don't know what new things I'm going to try this season.
I got a good idea, but normally I'd be more like a futuristic builder. Kind of similar to Mumbo, just because he uses, the glass and the concrete, and that's what I did on Hermitcraft. I did like a futuristic looking Guardian farm, and it's easier to build those just because you can make it any shape you want,
But
and just go from there.
you also have a more limited palette,
Yeah.
which means you kind of have to get a little exaggerated with some of your designs. So I've got this for you. I learned that because I would consider myself a modern style builder, minus last season's base because that was all medieval style.
Mm-hmm.
Go a little bit further than modern. Go, I want to call it apocalyptic. Oh, I just butchered that word. Holy crap. But,
Apocalyptic?
yeah, but do kind of like modern rubble, because then that allows you to use like cracked stone bricks and stuff like that while you still have a modern look.
Okay.
And it's really cool. It's really fun to play with because you're like, okay, I already have this exaggerated shape with this limited palette. Now I get to throw more stuff at this palette, and it looks really cool.
Kind of like a Star Wars type of thing. How,
Exactly.
like on a planet, you have futuristic looking buildings that are different, but they're also got that old, worn look to it.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
That's exactly what I'm talking about.
That's not bad. I might use that.
It's very fun to build that way.
Yeah. That's it. That's something I haven't done. Like it.
Yeah, but okay, so our last question, because we're starting to run out of time. We were worried about this this podcast.
Yeah, I think we come up with these questions an hour ago. Jeez.
Yeah. So our last one is, do you want the season to be YouTube focused or stream focused?
Mine, I'm mainly gonna go with YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoy making or editing my content. On a stream you can't really edit it,
Right.
so it's kind of you get what you got, or I don't. Is that the right expression? I don't know, but you understand.
Yeah.
But YouTube, you can edit things. You can put music in there. You can make it a little bit more fun, like a boring scene. You can liven it up a little bit. So that's my main focus there. Besides, I think I have more followers on YouTube than I do on my stream at the moment. So I'm going to put more focus there, though I do plan on streaming a little bit more once I get a little more active.
Yeah. I'm going to be the same way with a change. So for a while, I contemplated giving up YouTube because my YouTube was taking so much time, and it's really kind of plateaued. It's not growing anymore. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to focus on streaming on Mixer. And I did for a little while. I was streaming 3 to 4 days a week. But then I was getting burned out on Mixer and everything. And I really missed, like you said, editing YouTube videos and putting that together. And you have way more freedom that way. It's kind of like, hey, you guys are going to look at what I tell you to look at because that's how I'm recording. So I can hide spoilers all around. You don't get that in live stream. But it's also brought up, I'm a Mixer streamer because I love the Mixer platform. But lately, I've been seeing all these guys jump ship from Mixer back to Twitch. And I'm like, why are they doing that? And I started to take a closer look. And it's starting to make sense. It feels kind of like Mixer has more streamers than they do viewers nowadays. So it's like you just don't get that foot traffic anymore. So I'm contemplating making that trip back. And one thing that kind of gave that a little kick was Saturday when I was streaming on Mixer and I wrapped up and then I jumped in Marlo's Twitch stream. He was like, oh, I was going to raid you after my stream. And it's like, oh, well, that would have been cool, but I'm on Mixer. So I kind of doubted a lot of his viewers would even make the jump over. So it's like, if most of our servers on Twitch, it kind of almost makes sense to be there. But I don't know.
Yes.
I'm going to leave that up to you guys to kind of point me in a direction.
It's kind of me, you. Is that it? Is that all for Mixer?
I think Carl's on Mixer too. But I think Carl does that restream everywhere.
Yeah, he does Twitch, Mixer. He does a couple platforms at once. Pretty neat.
Yeah.
I think Dev actually has a Mixer channel now. But yeah, that's his. Yeah, and if we do want to, put our audience from one to another, it's pretty difficult to jump platforms. Let's
Yeah.
raid someone on a totally different. Can you download Mixer and raid him? No, probably not. So yeah, it's
Well,
a lot
to me,
easier if we all stay together.
Mixer had that faster than light, which was awesome. Well, Twitch is caught up, and they've got that now. Mixer has those special buttons you can press, and I spent hours designing my buttons. They don't ever get used anymore. I think last stream I even forgot to turn them on until you reminded me, because no one uses them anymore. So it's like, well, that felt like a waste of time. People just kind of want to have the purity of watching a stream some more, and that's when I was like, Twitch kind of makes sense. Everyone's already there, and it's just a pure streaming platform. So I may switch over there. If a bunch of people say, no, don't do it, then I'll kind of stay on Mixer. But I do want to bring streaming back at least twice a week, especially in the single-player world, where I'm going to have to personally grind a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
It'd be really nice to have people there watching.
That's the beauty of the streaming, if you do have things going on in your world and people don't want to miss it, even if it is grindy, you can always show it through the stream.
Uh-huh.
And it helps get viewers to YouTube, if that's what you wanted to do.
Yeah. But I think the show's run on really long, way longer than we thought it was going to. You want to go ahead and read this out?
Yeah. If you like the show, you can share it with all of your friends and on social media. If you listen to Spotify, follow us. Or if you listen to Apple Podcasts, leave us a nice review. Doing any of these really helps the show reach more listeners. My screen just went off. Let me get it back on. If you would like to get in contact with the show, send an email to podcast@rippleeffectsmp.com. Tweet us or join our Discord, where you can have a chat with everyone who works on the show and fellow listeners. The links are in the show notes.
Yeah, we can't go an episode without messing up the outro.
Jeez.
All right, this show has been brought to you by Jimbo and myself, but also our digital producer, Carl. He helps make sure the show ends up where it should be and not in a trash can somewhere because you're starting over. The amazing music you hear in the intro and outro was created by the one and only Decoy. Also, my single-player world, the music's created by Decoy. Everyone's social media info can be found in the show notes. You guys have been awesome. Thank you so much for getting withered with us. You should probably go drink your milk now. Bye.
See you later.